The President, please be seated. The court is now in session. As the Chamber already informed the parties last week that during today's sessions, the Chamber continues hearing the co-prosecutors putting documents concerning the structure of the democratic Cambodia. And we envisage that the prosecutor will finish by this morning. So the floor is now ceded over to the prosecutors to proceed with the remaining documents to be put before the Chamber. Counsel Sonarun. Mr. President, on behalf of Nuon Chea, may I be heard on the remarks concerning the death of the former king of Cambodia. I would be very brief if you give me the permission to do so. The President, indeed, it is not an appropriate moment yet for any party to make any remarks during the proceedings, so your request is not granted. The President continues. Counsel for Mr. Nuon Chea, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. And I hope everyone had a restful and rejuvenating holiday. I have a few housekeeping matters to raise this morning. First, I would just like to notify the Chamber and the other parties that perhaps tomorrow, in addition to the documents I've already referred to in an email to the Senior Legal Officer, perhaps tomorrow we will additionally discuss E3/1568, E3/781, E3/488, and that is in addition to the documents that I've already mentioned. My second point is a request for clarification, and this relates specifically to the hearing, to these proceedings rather. And this goes to the issue of whether or not Nuon Chea himself would like to comment on the documents, which I believe is an option that the Chamber put forward, that the accused would be permitted, if they so desired, to comment on the documents. So my question is, and I'm just repeating something now that I put in writing already to the Senior Legal Officer, a request to which I did not receive a response. So I would like to put it on the record. And if the Chamber is able to tell me, to give me some guidance, that would certainly help me, certainly help our team in discussing with our client whether or not it's in his interests to comment on any of the documents. So my question is, what weight, if any, will the Chamber attach to comments made by the accused in relation to the documents that are discussed and presented during these days, during this document hearing. According to Judge Cartwright, from a previous hearing, and I'm quoting, "Instructions from an accused cannot be given much weight unless the accused chooses not to exercise his right to remain silent and makes himself available for questioning on a particular topic." So that's what Judge Cartwright had to say about that, and that is from the 9 October 2012 trial transcript. So my question is, does a similar approach, does a similar, shall we say, not much weight rule apply to comments made on documents by an accused during these proceedings when the accused does not submit to questioning? It's possible, as I said to the senior legal officer in my email, that I'm mixing apples and oranges. I have put this in writing. It would be very helpful if we could have some clarification on this point, perhaps by the lunch break, so then we could discuss it with our client. The real question is, what weight, if any, will the Chamber place on comments made by an accused with respect to the documents presented during this hearing if the accused does not submit to questioning and does not waive his right to remain silent? And for myself, I would just like to very simply express my condolences to the Cambodian people on the death of King Sihanouk, and that is a sincere expression of condolences, and that's all I have to say about that. One last point. I noticed something in yesterday's International Herald Tribune, yesterday's newspaper, as I was coming back on the plane, and I'm sure people on the stage are familiar with Baroness Glenys Kinnock. Baroness Kinnock, of course you will recall, was here during
The President. Counsel, do you still remember that you have been informed time and again that you should inform the Chamber the topics you would like to discuss and seek leave from the Chamber before making such remarks? And we already believed that you fully understood this. That's why such reminding would never be repeated. With that, we see that perhaps it is a need to remind you every now you're on your feet about this. And for the last point you wish to make, was it relevant to anything, to the issues before the Chamber?
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for not being a bit more clear. It is relevant to these proceedings, and in fact, it's incredibly timely. It's an article, as I said, from the International Herald Tribune, that is the international edition of the New York Times newspaper, and it relates specifically.
The President, the judges already have read the article, and it has nothing to do with the proceedings. And secondly, if you feel that the article is relevant, then treat it as a new piece of evidence, and you should also proceed with filing the documents before the Chamber in writing, and you should do so 2 weeks before the proceeding on that matter is convened. We hope you have already been well informed on this, so please follow these rule and instruction and try to avoid repeating the same mistakes. The President, Mr. Co-Prosecutor, you may now proceed.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to all the parties, and good morning to everyone in the gallery. We started this hearing last week. There were a number of documents that I still had to present regarding ministries. Before I delve into this, may I request the Chamber to exercise some flexibility, given that the last time we started at 9:35 following Mr. Nunchia's statement, and so we are not sure that we will complete our presentation this morning. We would wish to complete it in the first half hour this afternoon. Before starting, I will give the floor to my colleagues. We have a day and a half to present these documents. Since we started belatedly, may I request the Chamber to grant me a bit more time this afternoon, still within the limits of the time allotted to us.
La dernière fois, l'audience avait été...
Last week, my presentation of a number of relevant documents on the Ministry of Commerce was interrupted. There were 28 reports of commercial meetings held between the Ministry of Commerce and delegations from North Korea, China, and Yugoslavia. These 28 reports were addressed to Brother Hem, that is Kyo Sampan. I will use another example to highlight what I stated last time, and it is document D366/7.1.351. This report is dated the 7th of January 1978, and it was addressed specifically by the Committee of Commerce to Bang Hem, very respected and beloved brother, regarding a meeting with the commercial delegation of China. This was copied to Ban Von, K51, and the archives. On the side of Cambodia, the representatives were the cadres Reed So, Lee, and Cheng. I would like to read two excerpts. The first expert has the following Khmer ERN 00188-509, and that is the first page. And in French, it is also on page 1. The ERN is 0054-8785. And in English, the ERN is 0057-4558. And this is what the head of the Chinese commercial delegation said, and I quote, "Number 2, be informed that Hongqi ship transporting military equipment will arrive in Kampong Som port this 7th of January 1978. Dear Cambodian friends, be therefore ready to welcome it." End of quote. Son Sen, who was Minister of Defense, not being one of the addressees of the report, it goes without saying that one of the addressees of the report must have informed him of the arrival of the military equipment. This document quite simply shows that there was a communication between the recipients of that report and the Minister of Defense. The second excerpt, it is also very short. It is on page 2 in Khmer, and the ERN is 00188510. And in French, it is on page 2 as well. The ERN is 0054-8786. And in English, it is 0057-4558. Regarding the different points discussed by the Chinese delegation, the Cambodian part simply mentions that it will seek the opinion of its government and concludes the report with these words, and I quote, "We crave your indulgence, Mr. Bang, to kindly take note of this and give us your instructions." And we see Van Riet, who was acting Minister of Commerce, and he was requesting Banghem to give him instructions. Then we have the Ministry of Commerce, and we have a number of documents regarding the collection of food supplies, their distribution within the country, and export. I would like to quote two documents for purposes of illustration. The first document is D366/7.1.487. This is a weekly report on husk and unhusked rice, dated the 1st to the 7th of March 1977. On the first page, we have annotations which indicate as follows: sent today to Banghem in one copy, 10th of March, end of quote. May I request that the document be placed on the screen? This document describes quantities of rice from different zones in the country, and it also explains how this rice was partly redistributed and stored. It is important that it states the function of the Coordination Ministry of Commerce and its superiors regarding production, transportation, storage, and redistribution of this basic food commodity, foodstuff. A second document from the Ministry of Commerce regarding food supplies is document IS 18.68, and it is dated the 4th of November 1978, and it is titled, and I quote, "Statistics regarding imports and exports for the year 1978 from January to September," end of quote. Also on page 2 in French, we have an annotation which states as follows, and I quote, "A copy has already been sent to Mr. Hem," period, end of quote. This document details, particularly in the second table, a list of commodities exported by Democratic Cambodia in 1978, including paddy and husked rice, coffee, soybean, sesame, beans, groundnuts, fish, and wood, kapok, and rubber. On this table, on the last tables, we find ministers, committees, zones, and the general staff, as well as the offices of ANCA that exported or imported commodities during that period. These tables show the role of coordination vis-à-vis numerous organs and different echelons in democratic Cambodia within the Ministry of Commerce with regard to orders of imported commodities. Another report from the Ministry of Commerce has to do with the identification and elimination of the enemies. We have a very important document for the Ministry of Commerce, and it is document E3/1159. E3/1159. It is a report of the Congress of the Ministry from the 25th to the 26th of July 1976. The first point that we should take note of is that within the Ministry of Commerce, conferences and congresses were also held, just like those that were held in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And you recall that I presented the agenda of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs last week, and the number was E3/522. There are many points in common between this document from the Ministry of Commerce, that is E3/1159, that of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, E3/522, as well as a document from the Ministry of Social Affairs, and the reference is E3/808. Among these common denominators, we find that the situation of the enemy occupies a very important place. It's given a lot of weight in meetings held at these ministries, and this is in line with the subjects that are elaborated upon in the revolutionary flags, circulars, and instructions from the Center and the CPK, as my colleagues presented last week. The first excerpt is document E3/1159, and in there it is pages 1 and 2. The ERN is 00188204-205, and in French it is on page 1, and the ERN is 006654-60261, and in English it is 0070-1587.
Je cite cet extrait.
Let me quote the excerpt. 1. The situation, the enemy situation. So paragraph 1. Some bad elements do not carry out any actions. The situation is precarious, though we've taken some measures with regard to organization and education within other groups. Apart from that, we have the following incidents, and these incidents include moral misconduct, deterioration of equipment, the commission of murders or killings, as well as the establishment of contacts to open a route to the northwest. The enemies have infiltrated through that route. They were under the control of the intermist traitors. Point number 2, our measures merit. Our internal people were educated on the enemy's artifices. Some measures have been implemented with the arrogant loose groups. The measures have been strengthened to guard, defend the party, and protect the revolution, popular masses, and common property. Shortages. The education of our internal peoples is still limited. The attention to follow up and screen the track of autobiographies is still to improve. End of quote. And you recall that this same topic, enemies, stratagems, and people who could not be recovered, and tracking biographies are also themes that we find in the agenda of B1, that is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which we talked about last week. Let us now talk about the next document. The document I have just quoted, E3/1159, is completed by annotations from the assemblies held in the Ministry of Commerce, and this document has the reference E3/153. It's E3/153. I will not go into the details we find in this document. I would invite you to read it in detail, but it includes important statements by various officials of the Ministry of Commerce at the assembly held on the 25th to the 26th of July 1976. And these presentations reflect the policy of the CPK in various areas, and particularly we find that mention is made of the class struggle, collectivism, the socialist revolution, and the need to comply with the directions found in the revolutionary flag. Two specific documents from the Ministry of Commerce, dated the 17th of October 1976, have to do with power or the authority of the Ministry of Commerce to carry out arrest of enemies and send them to security centers. And these also reflect the policies of the center in this regard. The first of these documents is document E3/962. E3/962. It is a decision of the Committee of the Ministry of Commerce dated the 17th of October 1976. I will only quote the very beginning of this document. This document is in 1 or 2 pages, and it's on page 1 in each of the languages, and I quote, "The Committee of the Ministry of Commerce, after consulting the sections in the ministry, has decided to arrest and send the following persons to security for interrogation." End of quote. And the 6 persons arrested, whose names feature on the document, were found guilty, according to the report, guilty of theft, traveling without permits, protesting against Ankara, knowing or being part of networks of persons regarded as contemptuous. The second document also provides information on the power or the powers exercised by the Ministry of Commerce and other ministries with regard to the enemy, and it is document E3/174. E3/174. It is also a decision of the Committee of the Ministry of Commerce on the same day, 17th of October 1976, but it deals with different persons. And I will quote the beginning of the document. The Directorate of the Ministry of Commerce, after consulting all the persons, the following decisions have been taken. Those who have to be sent to re-education centers are the following, end of quote. The persons identified are from the general production sector, urban marketing and commerce, and they are accused either of being close to despicable persons or of having done nothing or having not been disciplined in work. They either refused to be re-educated or committed acts of moral misconduct. I would like to mention in passing the existence of another document, E3/846 of the Ministry of Commerce, and it is a report concerning the same arrests of the 17th of October 1976, and we find them in the documents I have just mentioned, the 2 documents I have just mentioned. So it's E3/846, dated 4th October 1976, entitled Report Every 10 Days, 17th of October 1976.
Comme pour le ministère.
As for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it would be useful to refer to the list of S-21 prisoners if one wants to be apprised of all of the departments that fell under the purview of the Ministry of Trade. Document IS-16.52, which is also classified under document IS-16.53. They are one and the same document. This is a list of S-21 prisoners entitled And I quote, "The people at Commerce arrested from the early stage up to 26 March 1977. Those working within the Ministry of Commerce had been arrested from the very start to the end of 1977. This document is comprised of 210 names. The first list is comprised of 41 names of individuals who were working in the agricultural sector, as well as an additional list of 169 names originating from the following units and entities. The organs mentioned are the State Department for Commerce, Foreign Trade, Kampong Som Port, Spar Tme Markets, Oruse Market, Ruse KO, State Warehouses, Kilometer 6, State Market, as well as various units scattered throughout the country, including the trade office in Phoi Phet. To conclude with the Ministry of Commerce, I would simply add that among this list, IS 16.52 and IS 16.53, there also appears the name Teng Tri alias Chun, who was one of the individuals who had been identified as a member of the Commerce Ministry along with Van Riet. On the case file is also his confession under E3/1641, and I repeat, E3/1641. Another cadre from the committee, Nem, spelled Nhem, his full name is Titson alias Prom Nem, was a second member of the Committee of Commerce, and who was mentioned in the decision of the Standing Committee during its meeting of April 19 to 21, 1976. This figures in document E3/235. He was one of the first cadres to have made comments during the Congress of the Ministry of Commerce on the 25th and 26th of July 1976. This is classified under E3/153. His name also appears in the list of S21 prisoners, which is document IS 16.50. His confession, extracted at S21 in November 1976, are classified under D21/82-Annex .42. That is D82/2 Annex 42. At this stage, I would wish to address the issues concerning the Ministry of Social Affairs, which is perhaps one of the most significant issues on this matter. Two documents will be referred to, and I begin with E3/226. This is a record of the minutes of the Standing Committee, presided over by Comrade Secretary and Deputy Secretary Hem, as well as Pia, who is also known as Ying Tarit, Su, as well as Se, the two assistants of Ying Tarit, who both ended up at S21. This meeting also included the participation of other cadres from the Department of Social Affairs. According to his written record of witness interview, Pia makes mention of the Standing Committee and some of the progress achieved, as well as shortages and insufficiencies in pharmaceuticals and medication, as well as some instructions sought from ANCAR. I will quote the following passage, which is found on Khmer page 0017-154. In French, it is on page 00296163. And in English, 001833 6.8. The Secretary of the Party in June 1976 says the following. Point 1. With respect to the Ministry's works. Further on, although the ministries have not grasped hold of the duties of the party, we have tried hard to overcome all obstacles in order to fulfill these duties. For example, military men have replaced medical technicians and doctors. Further on, it reads, the fundamental factor which is providing impetus is policy and mentality. End of free interpretation. Therefore, it is explicit that the political factor is much more significant than the technical factor. With respect to those who were evacuated from the cities, the Secretary of the Party makes a radical distinction between peasant revolutionaries and workers. It is found on the following Khmer ERN page 00017155. On the French version, it is on page 6 of the same ERN page, and on English, it is on the ERN page 00183369. The Ministry of Health and Social Affairs has important duties to cope with the people's living standard as well as to solve the domestic animals' diseases. For example, the people carried with them cholera when they moved from Phnom Penh to rural areas, making the lives of our people dangerous. End of quote. I would place emphasis on Pol Pot's distinction between those who lived in the countryside and the residents who were driven out of Phnom Penh and carried with them diseases. The second document emanating from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is E3/808. This is a compilation of notes and annotations similar to some of the documents that were produced at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and a summary of meetings held in May and July 1976. This particular document is a summary of the meeting held at the office on the 31st of May 1978. It is dated 23 April 1978. It provides the reader information on the structure of the military body, as well as an overview of hospital services, which was also called the Khmer Soviet Hospital, or PO-17. It provides statistics on the number of caregivers, the number of patients, as well as the number of those deceased. It also provides an overview of the policies in application within the organs and institutions that reported to the Ministry of Social Affairs. There is also description of some of the self-criticism and criticism sessions that were led by the CPK, as well as information on the Vietnamese enemies. Moreover, there were numerous deaths that were caused by medical errors. Or which were the results of unqualified care. The first passage I wish to quote is on Khmer ERN page 0000534. On the French language version, it's on page 8 at ERN number 008112990. And in English, ERN page 00197599. I quote the following. on the 4th of May 1978. Team meeting on politics, consciousness, and assignments. Items on the agenda. Number 1, consciousness of daily duties. Point 2, consciousness of solidarity. Point 3, moral lifestyle. And I do believe that the English translation is a far more accurate conveyance of the meaning of the original Khmer. Point 4, communal consciousness of the peasant class. Point 5, respect for disciplinary principles. Point 6, being economical, hygienic, and careful. Point 7, issues of technical, political, and scientific studies. And lastly, point 8, interest in the activities of traitors. End of quote. Once again, I would lay emphasis on morality, discipline, consciousness of the collective group, consciousness of solidarity, and interest in traitor activity. I wish to quote a second excerpt, which is on Khmer ERN page 0000549. On French, page 15, ERN 008111297, and on English ERN page 001976114. With your authorization, I wish to read the passage from the English translation as it is more accurate. And I quote as follows.
1978. Joint meeting of the whole of 17th of April Hospital. 1. The representative of the Party for Social Action expresses views. And I go a little further. Our party's request is that we attack our enemies so that they can no longer raise their heads. It is imperative to be concerned about the past situation in 17 April Revolutionary Hospital under KUOY, K-U-O-Y, the reasons for it and the orientation for a solution in June. Since the end of last May, assessment of the past situation in our motherland, which has been concretely apparent in the past, and from the proclamation broadcast over the radio and propaganda, supplemented by what we have seen with our own eyes, the activities of the enemy at the end of May and mid-June. After being defeated, the Yuan enemy came in and took command for a second round, intending to attack our democratic Kampuchea. All they were able to unite with them was the East Zone, which was close to the Yuan, to seize the East, come to the Mekong River, and enter Phnom Penh. This coup d'etat has been totally smashed. The Yuan enemy is to be attacked really all out. There are some complicated situations. Complicated in what way? Technical experts are needed. They are engaged in wrecking the traitors. Hope in corps was gone. They turned back into CIA corps and haunted wounded comrades in arms instead. End of quote. Enfin, je ne vais pas m'étendre sur les documents du ministère.
And lastly, I will not enter into detail with respect to documents from the Ministry of Propaganda. However, I will make mention of two particular documents that relate to the meetings of the Standing Committee, and I wish to refer your honors to E3/231, which is the minutes of the meeting of the Ministry of Propaganda and Work. It brought together Pol Pot, Ninchia, Yingsari, Kyo Sompon on the 8th of March 1976, as well as Hu Nim, Minister of Propaganda. This meeting dealt with radio broadcasts in 1976. Upon reading this document, it is clear that the Standing Committee had made decisions on the content as well as the broadcasting of certain messages during the elections of the 20th of March. The second document is E3/225 rather. These are the minutes of the meeting regarding propaganda works dated the 1st of June 1976. The composition of the participants were Comrade Secretary, Comrade Deputy Secretary, who were representatives of the Standing Committee, as well as various cadres from the Propaganda Ministry, including Comrade Tuyas. The French translation unfortunately contains an error. It reads Kas, whereas in English it makes mention of Hunim. Also present were Comrade Koi, Kuoy, as well as Comrade Song, as well as various members from the film team. The Standing Committee, through the Secretary and Deputy Secretary of the party, had governed propaganda activities and decided who would be responsible for drafting as well as production of certain film works and radio broadcasts. Honorable members of your distinguished bench, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, that brings me to the conclusion of some of the documents that emanated from the various departments, ministries, members of the Grunk and Funk during the period of democratic Cambodia. I would wish now to respectfully hand the floor over to my learned colleagues. Thank you, Your Honors.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors, and good morning, parties and members of the public in the public gallery. Next, I'm going to present certain documents in relation to the administrative structures and communication took place during the democratic Cambodia. And this document would present the decisions as well as instruction from the center down to the zone, and then from the zone back to the center through telegrams or reports, as a means to inform to their superiors of the evolvement and development from the zones. In addition, we are going to present the telegrams, reports from the district and communal levels, and the administrative communication used throughout the period. But before my presentation, I would like to seek leave from the chamber to display certain documents on the screens. And we would also like to seek your leave to circulate these copy maps to the relevant parties before the proceedings. And with your leave, I would like to proceed with that. The President, you may proceed. Court officer, please obtain the document from the National Prosecutor and hand them in to the parties. Prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to begin by presenting the minutes of the meeting in document E3/182 dated the 9th of October 1975 with year end in Khmer 00019108 to 19, English 00183393 to 402, French 0029 28 68 2679. In these minutes, it indicated the attendance of the standing committee, namely the secretary in charge of military and economics, deputy secretary in charge of social affairs and cultural affairs, as well as propaganda and education. Comrade Van in charge of foreign affairs, both for party and state. Comrade Haim in charge of government and price list, as well as commerce, and other members of 13 members in the same document, English 00183395 and French 0029287172. It indicated the direction to departments to relay the telegrams. They say upon receiving the telegrams, the department should forward it to the office in charge immediately to consider. And certain issue was an urgent matter, and if it were the military affairs, it had to be referred to the military section. If it were related to parties' affairs, it had to be referred to that. And the same document also outline the regime of the report, and I would like to cite as follows. During the meeting, everyone reported so far. The work was sent to Comrade Duan, and later on it had to be referred to a respective section. For example, foreign affairs, it had to deal with foreign affairs. We do not want the work to be concentrated at the standing office, because the standing office had to follow respective offices in implementing the party line. And then down below, it also further stated that we had to start it from tomorrow onward. End quote. EON in Khmer in the same document 0009 118, in English 0018 3401, and French 002928 78279. On page 11 in Khmer version, it indicated the duties of the telecommunication department. The telecommunication was used in communicating in times of war, and it was also used in the maritime space, as well as in Mandolkiri province. And next, I would like to bring up another minutes of the meeting, document E3/232, which is the record of the meeting at the base, dated the 8th of March 1976. In this document, it also mentioned the members are in attendance, including secretary of the party, Comrade Tuj, Haim, Srieng, Hong, Sot, and Tuj. In this meeting, Mr. Kyu Sampon reported to the base regarding the principle of the election, as well as additional comments in relation to the meaning of the election. Following the report by Comrade Haim in relation to Sector 303, Comrade Hain also presented the arrest of the enemy forces. In the same document, in relation to the overall situation of 106, Comrade Sot reported to the party. As for 103, Comrade Hong reported to the party on certain matters, for example, in the following areas, I quote, as for in the whole area, there were no active enemy activities. There were only just groups fleeing from different locations, like fleeing from 303 or from Kampong Chnang. Since January, almost 100 have been arrested. And in the same document E3/232, it also indicated the instruction of ANCA regarding the base, and I would like to quote as follows. Quote, regarding the problems in 303, as measures must call in those named to question them to see what their responses are, and we will not yet remove them from their position. Next, call them in for further questioning in front of other accusers and watch to see their reactions. Therefore, there are two stages: question and keep them at one side, and report to upper echelon along with a case file. And the same document also indicated the report regimes. One, request to report to the standing committee on a regular basis, and the standing committee is informed at all times so that they can take immediate action appropriately. As for the communications that took place during the period of the Democratic Cambodia, document E3/216, the record of the visit of the Standing Committee in the North-West Zone from the 20th to the 24th of August 1975. The first part of this document describes the report of the overall situation at the base. In the first section, it's the report concerning the shortages of foods and struggle of the new people. The new people had to endure the shortages of medicines, food supplies, and medication, and many people living in the west of Luvir and along Stung Mungkulboray stream have caught fever. And in point number 2 on the enemy situation, it reported the internal activities. I would like to quote, quote, they have their undercover links and arrangements for liaison from one location to another, and they are undercover among the railway workers, bracket, new workers, and bracket, and they conduct psychological warfare and sabotage. There exists within our ranks those who have not yet been purged, and they make use of them to lead people to flee. We have been able to arrest them one after the other. The same document in point number 2, it indicated the instruction by ANCA. There was one point which mentioned the National Defense Affairs, and point A, it indicated key problems solving political situation of the people.
The important problem is to sort out the political situation of the people and do whatever is necessary to make the people stable in monolithic block of solidarity with the revolutionary state power. The revolutionary state power must govern the people well in every domain. And in the same point number 2, it is about the roles of the cooperatives, which are classified into 2 first. The function after the liberation. The function of cooperatives since the total liberation is to observe all the new people coming out of all the cities and towns, especially Phnom Penh city and in the northwest Battambang. And the record also lists down the measures to be implemented by the lower echelon. And I would like to quote that the lower echelon were expected to pay attention to additional assessments of the both base and the new elements in the cooperatives. And I would like now to proceed to a new document, which is E3/200. This document is the speech by Mr. Khieu Samphan during the anniversary of the 15th of April 1977. ERN in Khmer 00292805. In English 00004165. I would like to quote as follows. We have to do our best to stop the enemies from interference, from conducting the sabotage against us, and we had to sweep clean the enemy so that we can be the master of the situation, so that we are able to follow the internal political affairs, and also we had to do everything neatly, meticulously, and we had to be vigilant, and we should not really be overjoyed with the victory, and we had to be committed to be vigilant at all time and to preserve the spirit of solidarity without any condition, and to attack, to prevent enemy from attacking us at all time. Another document is new document E3/166. This is a revolutionary flag for the February and March 1976. In the revolutionary flag, under ERN in Khmer 00063210 and English ERN 00517830, French ERN 00492773. I would like to quote the message from the revolutionary flag as follows. Seeing the above mentioned good and the bad elements of making propaganda to educate the popular masses, every party member and cadre at every echelon of the party must pay a high level of attention to this issue of making propaganda to educate the popular masses. No matter how busy they may be, they must know how to seize the time to make propaganda to educate the popular masses in our base areas and within our framework. Next, I would like to proceed to E3/2, which is the decision by the Standing Committee, rather E3/12. The decision made on the 30th of March 1976. On the first page is it is available in all languages. On point number 2, according to the regime of weekly reporting to Office 870, and the same document E3/12 and the ERNs in Khmer 0003, rather 003139, English ERNs 00182812, and French ERNs 00224365. On point number 9 of the decision by the Standing Committee concerning the independence celebration, I would like to quote as follows. The 3 days event on the 15th, 16th and 17th of April, our independence celebration and the New Year celebration as well. And the base shall also be allowed to attend the political study session. Another document is E3/160 concerning the instruction by the Office of 870 with regard to the arrangement of the independence celebration. During these 3 days, the 15th, 16th and 17th of April, can brother ask every worker at ministry to have the days off so that they can celebrate the event, and also peasants shall be allowed to leave to enjoy the celebration, and foods must be prepared for receiving the people. And for the celebration, we shall only prepare for the respect to the national anthem, and that's all, without any songs at all. And on point number 3, under the same document, instruction was also laid down from Office 870 to the military. I would like to quote the message as follows. With regard to the military, the program is the same. However, soldiers have to take turn being vigilant to protect ourselves from being attacked by the enemies. And this document also relevant to the instruction which dated on the 1st of April 1978 from Office 870. Next, I would like to submit another document on the pronouncements by the office, the central office. Document E3/727. This is about the fight against the Vietnamese aggressors and land swallower. And the Office 870 rendered the instruction as follows. The soldiers, the combatants, and all cadres at all levels shall be vigilant, and first you must harden and expand the stance of steadily and absolutely combating against the aggressive and expansionist land-grabbing Yuan enemy. Must raise the spirit of revolutionary vigilance, to always be high to track down and search out Yuan enemy agents and not allow them to hide anywhere at all, to eliminate them and gain timely mastery. End of quote. Another example about the communication between the standing committee or the central committee to the lower level is seen under E3 1150, E3/1150. On the top of the document, it starts by saying that to beloved and missed comrade Ya. Under point number 1, which is available in all languages, it reads, "We have received your telegrams dated on the 9th and 10th of November 1975. And through the reception of this letter, we also reported to the Central Committee, first, in addition to force mobilization in the neighboring sectors, we request that some forces in Stung Trang or Punlung be organized for an ambush against the enemy." The letters also state about our views as follows. First, to prepare military forces by collecting the military forces from the bases as the most important sources, including the zone, sector, and the district military forces. The selection of forces from the lower level shall not be done until later. Second, to further grasp the enemy situation, and third, to consider contacting their leaders to determine how to make a complaint against them through a political venue. And later on, in the letter, it states, "With regard to the new people, we have received a telegram on new people this morning. We'll report later." The next document is document E3/241. It is telegram 52 sent from the New North, which is zone 801 under Sai supervision. The telegram was sent to office 870, and the first point is about the enemy situation under ERN in Khmer 00020908, English ERN 00183627, English French ERN 00335192. I would like to quote the text as follows. The enemy situation. The internal enemies. During the last few days, we managed to find and arrest hidden enemies burrowing from within the revolutionary rank and the people successively. We have advantage over the enemies and take timely measures, making no unusual circumstances. We continue sweeping out and paying attention to hidden enemies burrowing from within. Points number 2 and 3 were about the new people and production, the cultivation situation. And telegram 53 under E3/1091. This telegram was from the Secretary of Zone 801 by the name of Sai. I would like to quote as follows. To the beloved and missed committee office 870. According to the decision of the party, I had been assigned to work in Region 103 or Sector 103 for a period of time. I would like to report on my activities as follows. In a period of 10 days, I worked in 5 districts, Bang, Gulen, Songkum Thmai, Roving, and Chom Ksan. I made conferences in each district with participation of district chiefs, community chiefs, and some other officers in the districts. In the conferences, parties' political guidelines were lectured. There are, first, political guidelines of the continuation of the socialist revolution and building of socialism. 2. Parties' guidelines of crop diversification for solving the issues of people's living conditions. This telegram was issued on the 28th of August 1977 by Sai. Another telegram is telegram 60 under document E3/1144. The format of the telegram, starting from point number 1 concerning external enemy situation, and on point number 5 it is about the internal enemies. At the basis, officers, ministries, and military officers, we have uncovered many enemies who are burrowing from within, either through the spying of the anti-revolution activities or through the implications. Those enemies who were former officials, policemen, or soldiers of the previous regime who were discovered one after another. Comparing to the earlier time, the number of enemies who are burrowing from within are decreasing, and mainly only a few of their accessories are left under cover. The following measures are taken in order to purge those enemies. We apply the hard work tactics to fight enemies in all sections, especially in farming. We use farming as a key factor in purging and screening of enemies. Another point is on point number 2, which is about the situation of the people. And also point number 3 concerning the military situation. The 4th point is about the situation of farming in all districts of the zone. And the 5th point is about the people's living conditions. And finally, at the end of the telegram, people including Sai was mentioned. Sai was Sector 801 Secretary, and the telegram was received on the 6th of September 1977 at 700 hours. And the telegram was copied to Uncle Noon, Bong Wan, Bong Won, Bong Kiu, and office and documentation. Another document is also a telegram from Secretary of 801 from the same person, Comrade Sai. This telegram is 324 under E3/1073. The telegram was addressed to the beloved Office 870 Committee. Document in English ERN 00293359, French ERN 006308 16 through 17. On the third point of the telegram, I would like to quote as follows. The internal situation. There is no important change. The situation is normal. We are continuing to purge the remaining group continuously, including those who oppose our revolution openly and secretly. We proceed. We have done it very well. The enemy is not able to raise their heads anymore because the people force is so strong. Plus, this force oppresses them constantly and sweep clean and screen them constantly. Later on, another line reads, would like to specify and report about female comrade Son, who is the wife of comrade Man. This female comrade was implicated by many enemies, so I decided to remove this female comrade and brought her to stay at the Zone Office 801 so that she will not be able to continue her traitorous activities anymore. Another document is document that produced by Secretary of Zone 801 under the same name Sai. This document was presented to the Committee of 870 as well. I would like to read it as follows. To beloved Committee 870, I would like to present to you a confession from San Iep alias Kun from Commerce Committee 103. This document concerns the research of the internal enemy network. Comrade Sai, Secretary of 801, sent this document to Committee 870. Another document is E3/801 under Khmer ERNs 00017183. And I would like to apologize because the ERNs in French and English are not available. This document is also relevant to the document sent by Sai with regard to the confession by San Iep alias Kun that was sent to the Central Committee. I would like to conclude my submission of the document now, but would like to cede the floor over to my colleague. Thank you, Mr. President and Your Honors, very much.
Mr. President, Your Honours, we're moving on now to a series of communications that relate to the North-East Zone. So these are communications from the North-East Zone to the party centre. And it's perhaps worthwhile, I hope, and helpful if we all have our maps out that were handed out earlier at this stage. We can see that the North-East Zone is shown obviously on the top right of the map, and that the zone consists, shown in yellow on the map, of sectors 101, 102, 104 and 107. So North-East Zone, first document, E3/1122. So this is a telegram. It's a telegram from V, the North-East Zone Secretary, to the party centre. It's dated the 11th of January 1978, and we can see in the title, "To Respected Brother." So this is a zone telegram to the party centre, but in the first line of the telegram, we have the words relating to the situation in District 41, and then under item 2, mentioning of undercover burrowing enemies. There's then reference further down in the page to the situation in terms of rice at sectors 104, 101 and 107. And then shown at the bottom of that page are the recipients of that telegram in terms of the characters at the party centre. The next document in relation to this zone is E3/319. So again, a telegram from V, the North East Zone Secretary, to respected brother, and the telegram is about the enemy situations at the border. So a zone secretary reporting to the party centre, and towards the bottom of the page, the zone secretary states this: on the 3rd of January, so that would be the 3rd of January 1978, I, that's V, the North East Zone Secretary, I attended the meeting to hear the declaration of the party, which appeal all zones to work in cooperatives, regions and centres. Then talks about contact with the UN, and he says, and in conformity with the instructions of UNCAR, we strengthen our stance to have an internal clean-up and struggle against the UN day and night. Again, at the bottom, the day of the telegram and the recipients of that telegram at the party centre. Next, still on the North-East Zone, document number E3/943. This is a telegram. It's again from V, the North-East Zone Secretary. It's to the party centre. It's headed Respected Brother. And we can see that it's dealing with the situation of the enemy. And again, the recipients of that telegram are shown at the bottom of the page. I'm moving now to Independent Sector 105. So if we all have our maps to hand, we can see that Independent Sector 105 is shown in blue, and we have Mondulkiri written beneath that sector. First document for this sector, E3/1191. This is telegram. If we look at the numbering of the telegram, we can see that it's telegram 00. And it's a telegram to beloved and missed Comrade Duan. The sender from Sector 105 is stating that he, the sender, had arrived in Sector 105 on the 11th of October, so the day before the telegram was sent, that the sender has changed his name. And the importance of this is this is the first telegram from the sender of that day, the 12th of October, and we can see that in addition to it being addressed to Comrade Duan, it's copied to Brother Nguyen, office and documentations. If we turn to the next document for that sector, it's E3/1192. We're still on the same day. It's the 12th of October 1976. The sender in Sector 105. again says at the top of the telegram, to beloved and missed brother Nguyen. We've already received your telegram. We are quite interested in the substance of the telegram. We have assigned a commerce group from Phnom Penh. Comrade Chuan has received them. And then to show how the telegram can move from a relatively large subject of commerce to a more minor subject, we see here at item 3 on this telegram, Sector 103 is reporting to Brother Nguyen about a broken radio. And the entry is, as for broken communication radio, it has now been repaired. It is thus kept for use. The new one has not been used yet. It is kept as it is. Moving next, please, if I may, to communications from Independent Sector 505 to the party centre. Again, I hope it's useful to have the maps to hand at this point. We can see that Independent Sector 505 is shown in blue on the map, and we have Krache shown next to Independent Sector 505. And the first document from this sector is E3/257. This is a telegram from Sector 505 to the party centre. It is dated the 1st of May 1977. It is addressed to Beloved Office 870. We can see at the bottom of the telegraph the recipients at the party centre of that telegram. And the subject of the telegram is Sector 505, complaining about the number of visitors to its region, or sector, I should say. And the sector is then making a request to the party centre, and that's set out in the bottom of the telegram under the heading Request. So this is Sector 505 making a request to the party centre. We request that Angkar give us notice about the coming visitors to our sector. If possible, we'd like to request for information of food to be provided to those visitors. I'm moving, for the sake of speed, next to communications from the East Zone to the party centre. Again, if we look at the maps, we can see the East Zone shown in blue, and we can see the sectors within the East Zone, sectors 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. First document for this zone, E3/879, is a telegram. The date of the telegram is the 11th of November 1975. This is a telegram from Chon Saopim, the East Zone Secretary, and its to Brother Pol. Headed, Respects to beloved and missed Brother Pol, please be advised. Request to report to Brother on the border situation in accordance with the reports of Sector 23. So plainly, Sector 23 has sent a report to the zone secretary, Saopim or Chon, is now sending, in reliance or in accordance with that report from the sector, his own report to Brother Pol. And in the report from the Zone Secretary, there is then, in effect, repetition of the sector report, and that talks about the situations in the districts within the Eastern Zone, in particular Chantrea district and Romeas Hek district. Next, for the Eastern Zone, document number E3/871. This again is a telegram. It's dated the 21st of March 1976. And this is from the East Zone Secretary, Chon Sao-pim, to the party centre. And it's addressed to respect to beloved and missed Brother Pol. This telegram also is reporting to the party centre according to the report of Comrade Chuk, Sector 24. So again, Sector 24, Comrade Chuk, has sent a report to the East Zone Secretary, and the East Zone Secretary is now relying on this information from his sector, reporting to the party centre. And there's reference on the page about a grenade-throwing situation. And in relation to the grenade thrower, we beat him up during interrogation about his organisational links and got on to more than 20 more of them in the grassroots of prayer.
The President. Prosecutor, please hold on. The International Counsel for Mr. Kilsampon, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just a brief comment. I take note that for some time now, my learned colleague is talking about the center of the party. This is an expression that seems to be concocted and it does not figure in any of the documents that he is presenting before your honorable chamber. I believe that it is worth specifying what exactly the center of the party is. This term does not figure in any of the telegrams. In fact, in this particular document, the telegram is addressed to Mr. Pol Pot. Is this one and the same thing, or is this an interpretation of the co-prosecutor? I do not believe that today's hearing serves to plead. It simply serves to present in the most objective terms possible documents to be used during this trial. I would very much appreciate further specifications. Thank you.
The President, International Co-Prosecutor, you may respond.
Mr. President, Your Honours, it's a fair point. It's well made. I won't use the phrase again. I'll simply refer to the recipients of the documents. Mr. President, so that you have an eye on timings, I'm just proposing to deal with two more documents so that I complete the communications from this zone. And I wonder if that might then be an appropriate moment for the break, but I'm in your hands. The next document, East...
President, just now there was an objection by the International Defense Council by Mr. Counsel for Mr. Kilsampon. Do you have any response to make to the objection raised by the Defense Counsel for Mr. Kilsampon?
Mr. President, can I clarify that I was accepting the objection from the defence and that I was proposing not to use the phrase party centre again. So I'm in effect, it may be astounding for the Chamber, but I'm agreeing with a defence objection. Does that clarify the position, Mr. President?
The President, thank you. The time is now appropriate for the morning adjournment. The Chamber will adjourn now until 11. The Court is now adjourned.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រុមឈរ